I would say to myself back then, look at what you can accomplish. When I started this business, I literally didn't know if I would get one client because I had never had one before. I didn't know that I could make a website or that I could have meaningful connections with luxury brands or experiential companies, things like that. If I had to go back and watch what happened, I think my jaw would hit the floor because I would not believe it.
Hello, beautiful bosses, and welcome back to the channel. I have something really special for you today because I wanted to try something different with these videos that I've been doing for almost 3 years now. So I wanted to change up the format just a little bit, and I actually wanted to give you a sneak peek into what it's like on our coaching calls. So this week, we actually launched something new called the Student Spotlight. We're going to deep dive on one specific strategy that our crafty used in order to elevate their business. And I'm really excited because it's something totally different. It's live, it's in front of our crafties, and you get a special sneak peek into what our coaching calls are actually like. And in addition to that, you get to see the camaraderie and the collaboration that goes on within our community. So the coaching calls that we meet twice a week for are the highlights of my week because I get to connect with my members, really answer their questions, and deep dive into specific problems that they might have within their business. And because no business is the same as another, it's amazing to get that one-on-one feedback and really make sure that the strategies that we're using are actually applicable to your location, your age of the business, your skill set, etc. And there's so many things that go on behind the scenes. So I wanted to actually read a little excerpt that Katie sent over to me because it is so special. And honestly, it just made me cry a little bit because I was just having kind of like a down week. It's really important to be able to recognize that you're having that and that it is a fairly normal experience when it comes to entrepreneurship. But it's also really vital to be able to get out of that funk. And one of the things that I love doing, and that's why these coaching calls are so special to me, is being able to reconnect with my community, be able to celebrate their wins, be able to be alongside them and have a constant reminder of why I do what I do. So yeah, that's what we call the happiness toolkit of like really reminding ourselves what we've done in the past, where we want to go, what we've accomplished, and really what pulls us out of that funk. And a huge part of that is our community. So I wanted to read an excerpt that Katie sent over to me. So my question for her was, what has been your favorite transformation in these months? And she wrote, when I joined the Craft Academy, all I had was a business name and an Instagram handle. I didn't have any photos, so I think my favorite part was building my business from step one. You would think it would be overwhelming to join the Craft Academy and build from scratch, but it's because of the Craft Academy that I am where I am. Rosie, you always say you give us the keys, but we have to turn it and open the door. Well, I believe you gave us keys made of gold. You guys, I was in such a funk yesterday, and being able to read that really pulled me out of it. And having that like constant reminder of like the program makes a huge difference and it changes people's lives. It makes me feel I'm where I'm meant to be. So anyways, I'm going to turn it over to the clip from the coaching call. Please let me know what you thought about Katie's interview. And I would love to kind of hear from your perspective where you are in your business and what's kind of the hardest thing for you when it comes to building your specific brand. Hello, beautiful bosses, and welcome to our very, very first Student Spotlight. This is something that our members have been requesting for, and I'm really excited that you guys could join us today. So this is the incredible story of Katie Rhee, who used our methodology to transform her calligraphy business from pretty much no business to a business that has brought over $26,000 in 2024. So that's amazing. Congratulations, Katie. Just to give you guys a little bit of an insight, prior to TCA, Katie actually thought calligraphy was limited to having only a hobby, but after joining TCA and in only 18 months, she's been able to achieve 8 four-figure months in 2024 and has worked for amazing brands like Rare Beauty and Tory Burch. And so it's just been such a wonderful experience having her here and celebrating all of her wins. Recently, as of this year, she recently rebranded Katie Rhee Calligraphy, where it now resonates with more of her experiential clients. So this is the business strategy that we're going to be deep diving on today. But before we get into that, Katie, welcome. It's been a long time since we've seen you on our coaching call.
I know, I'm sorry, it's been a while, but I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, no worries. I always like to think that when people don't show up to our coaching calls, it's because they're off doing amazing things, which you absolutely are because you're super behind on social that I saw.
Yes.
I know you're really behind on posting your events, but it's totally okay. So just to give everyone a little bit more of an introduction for people who don't know you just yet, can you give us a um, your journey to entrepreneurship and how Katie Rhee Calligraphy was found?
So, hi everyone, I'm Katie. I started Katie Rhee Calligraphy back in August of 2023. Before that, I was just doing calligraphy as a hobby. I started in 2021 during the pandemic, just wanted something to do, and I started calligraphy, decided maybe I can make a business of this, so I looked on Etsy, looked at the prices, and it was a competition to price down like dollars. So I was like, I have a full-time job. I cannot be doing all of this work for almost no money. So I said, no, I can't start a business. And I just kept it as a hobby. I became pretty stagnant with it just as a hobby. And so I came across live engraving and live calligraphy, and I was like, oh wait, what is this? So I looked into it, and that is where the business started. I really honed in my craft on calligraphy, engraving, and foiling, and those are the three services that I offer today. And as Rosie mentioned, for the last 18 months, I've really been growing my business. I would say when I started this business, I hoped for maybe 5 events in general, because I just didn't know where I would be. I didn't know how it would go. And this year alone, within the first, I would say 4 months, I surpassed all of my goals, or all that I achieved last year. Financially, all the goals that I had set, everything. So just to see my business grow has been incredible. And then that has also led to my rebrand, as Rosie mentioned.
Oh my gosh, amazing. What are some of the pillars that you have that keep Katie Rhee running?
So in general, I would say my pillars are I want to bring an experience to from my art. So like I enjoy in studio work. I like if a brand hires me or if bride hires me, I don't mind. Like I love doing in studio work, but one of the pillars for me is really to bring an experience. I love to see a guest face when I hand them their engraving, or as they're watching and they're like, can I pull out my phone? And they just are recording like every step of the process. I love that so much. I love when they get to be part of it. And I love when I get to be part of their experience too. So that is something really important to me. And then also like I genuinely love calligraphy so much. So it's a passion more than anything. Before the business, before anything, I just have a passion for the art. And so that is definitely something really important to me, and hopefully I will never lose that.
Oh, I love it. Oh, that's amazing. Congratulations on surpassing your goals from 2024 already. I feel like 2025, we're already halfway through and you've already killed all of the goals that you've set out for yourself, including your rebrand. I know it's only been about 18 months since you joined the program, but what's been your favorite, I guess, transformation in those months?
I would say my favorite transformation has been, this might seem silly, but like seeing my business actually grow. Like not just in one area, but to see my art grow, to see my relationship with my clients, to see my relationship with other calligraphers, not just in the New York area, but across the country, in TCA, outside of TCA, everywhere, just to see what I have been able to do. Because, and that's something so hard for me to say, because I tend to be like, oh, I tend to downplay things in general. But lately, I guess after my rebrand, I kind of took a look at the brand it is today and what I have been able to accomplish. And to know that I was able to do this has both shocked me, impressed me, and really made me smile. So.
I love that completely. I think when you joined the Craft Academy, because I still remember our first call, you basically had nothing. Like you were making $0. You barely had a name and an Instagram, right? Like it was so like it was an infant, it was a newborn. But then you joined TCA. What went through your mind in the beginning when you were joining but didn't have a business yet? Like what made you make that commitment into the program?
Well, I said to myself, if I'm going to give this a shot, I'm going I'm going to need help because I don't know how to start a business. And I mean, as you mentioned, I barely had an Instagram. Like I was literally making content on the fly because I didn't have a client. I didn't have anything. And at that point, I was really just like doing it as a hobby. And so I was honestly like my first few posts, like if they seemed like they were a client, I made that up because I didn't have one at the time, you know, like it was a very brand new business. I would say the reason that I joined is because one, I needed help. And I knew that I could get help. And I could really like learn from everybody. Mm-hmm. And two, I mean, the community, like I would say the friends that I've made in TCA some of them are no longer just like, I don't call them just calligraphy friends. They're just my friends. So the community has definitely been really important.
I love it. Amazing. What do you feel like has been the biggest changes that you made in your business since you started the program, in addition to having awesome calligrapher friends?
Well, I didn't really have a business before I started. So it's kind of everything, like the fact that I have a website, pre-rebrand, the fact that I even had a website, I had clients, I had an understanding of like contracts and things like that. All very important aspects of a business and some of the more back-end things that I might not have thought about. So that's been really helpful.
Great. Amazing. Okay, so let's dive into Katie Rhee calligraphy today, post rebrand. Tell us what was going through your head. You had already reached $26,000 in 2024, which going from zero is incredible there. But you were already on a really good trajectory and getting these amazing clients and having that like snowball effect where your business was essentially running itself. Why did you feel it was necessary for you to rebrand your business?
So I started to look at my business towards the end of last year, the clients I was working with, where I wanted to go, where I was in the process of going. And I saw that, and then I saw what I have. Like physically, I have my website, I have my brand colors, my logo, all of that. And they just didn't match. When I first started my business, I made my website on my own. Like I built it on Show It. I made my own logo, I made my own brand colors. And in the beginning, it really served me. I thought it really was representative of where I was, but I could see my brand growing at a faster rate than what existed or what I had, at the time. So it just felt like a disconnect. It felt like I knew I wanted to go to the next level. I knew that I was working to get there, but the brand that I had didn't feel representative of that. So I felt like I needed to work with a professional. Also, I'm not great at SEO. So I just needed to work with a professional all around to really enhance my brand and make sure that there was alignment between where I want to be and where I am.
So you felt like what you had created from the fruition of your business was no longer aligned with where your business was today?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely see that. I feel like I'm in need of a rebrand, and I'm sure everyone here that's watching has thought about doing a rebrand at some point. So walk us through the process of that. What was it like? What was going through your head? If you had advice for anyone, what would that be?
Yeah, sure. So I knew at a minimum, I wanted to rebrand my website and I wanted help with SEO. I didn't know beyond that. I just wasn't aware of what else they could offer because I had never worked with a brand designer before. So I reached out to one brand designer and it was okay. But she uses templates and it just didn't seem like something that I wanted to do. I mean, we all create custom work. And so I wanted to have a custom website, something that was truly representative of my brand. And I didn't think that could fit in a template or an existing template. So I ended up finding my brand designer that I used. Her name is Haley. She's incredible. She creates from scratch websites. And from there, we talked about what do you want your website to look like? What is your vision? And then we realized it's not just the website, it would need to be every aspect of the brand. So the logo, the colors, the layout, the SEO, my photos, all of that. So I ended up doing a full rebrand of basically every part of my business. And now I feel more aligned to where I want to be, what my vision for my brand is. I will say it is a mountain. Rebrands, especially if you're going to do like a complete rebrand, it is a lot of work. Even though I wasn't the one physically making my website, there's so much input because the vision is mine and my brand designer has to understand what I want. So for her to understand what I want, I have to give her like every little detail, and we have to really be on the same page. We have to work well together. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of communication, a lot of feedback, and I think that's when I picked my brand designer. I knew, one, personality wise, we would get along really well. Two, our styles are kind of similar. And three, sometimes there were times when I had the vision, but I couldn't communicate what that was. So we would be like bouncing ideas off each other, and where we landed is exactly what I was thinking. And honestly, it was more. It exceeded my expectations. So that is sort of the background of the rebrand. And I would say any advice, as I mentioned, the rebrand was a lot of work. And so I would get, if you're thinking about rebranding your business, I would ask yourself what level of rebrand you're interested in. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing type of thing like I did. It could just be you need help with you want to grow your SEO, or you want to like update your website so that it is just more representative of where you are today. It could be that your colors don't feel like it matches your business as well, or you might love your logo and that is the only thing that stays, or you might love your colors, your logo, and your website, but your SEO, your copying just needs a little bit of work. So I would just take like a pulse check on where you are and what you want your rebrand to look like, just so that you can figure out, before you even talk to a brand designer, figure out what you're looking for so that you have an idea, because they'll start asking you questions, and you want to be able to explain, at least in the intro call, what you're looking for so that they have an idea.
Oh my gosh, such good gems, Katie. Thank you so much for giving us that rundown. It seems like a lot of work. So let's break it down just a little bit more. If you could, I guess, describe the difference between like your Katie Rhee calligraphy prior and then after the rebrand, what's like the biggest, I guess, energy difference do you feel after doing the rebrand?
I actually feel like my brand is me. Like, I feel like we are one now. Before, I felt like when I first started my business, I needed a website, I needed a logo, and I needed colors. And so when I picked them, I didn't necessarily know what I was looking for. I just knew I needed something that looked cohesive, looked clean, and just was representative of the services I offer, of what I was trying to convey. But I honestly, I love my original version of my website because it was what I launched originally, but it just didn't feel like me. Like I use muted colors. I use like light blue, I think, or like a sea color and a gray. Like that's just not me. Like I'm literally wearing pink today, but like my favorite color is pink. I am just not a muted color person. So today, the energy that I think my brand brings is who I am. It's more bold, it's more playful, but also kind of sophisticated, and like the colors are representative of me, and there's just more balance in general. So when I launched my original website, what I was just trying to get at was having a website that was clean and nice. But now I feel more balanced in my business. I feel like I said it's like me like 5 times, but it really is. It feels like me now.
Yeah. I think what's really special about your story is that you knew you needed help with your business from the beginning. So you invested in the Craft Academy. We got you to where you needed to go, kind of like scrappy DIY, which is amazing because that's what we do. But then you recognized that your business was heading and having some really good trajectory. So you felt like it was time for you to invest again within your business. And I think you did a beautiful job. For everyone who's watching, definitely go to katierheecalligraphy.com and check out her beautiful new rebrand. I think what comes to mind during what you just said was something that Tammy actually said during our mastermind last year, where she said, if you were to take away the photos of you performing at an event or on your website, are we going to be able to identify that that's you? Like that's your personality. We should be able to see that not only within the photos, but within the description and the copy and the SEO as well. And I think you reiterated that really well, even though you weren't technically at the mastermind. But I think it's a beautiful lesson for all of us to take.
And I didn't make it easy for my brand designer in times too, because I would say things like, when she was like, what are you trying to convey? Or like, what's your personality and what are you trying to convey? Like, I was just thinking about like all the, like I gave her basically like a mind dump of everything. I was like disco balls and pink and like all this stuff. And what she was able to pull together, I was like, that's kind of incredible.
I love that. I feel like as a designer, you have to be able to read between the lines. And that's really what we do as calligraphers too, is like be able to take those ideas and transform it into what they actually want.
Yeah, definitely.
Love that. So I know you took a long time to do the whole thing. What was the timeline for your rebrand?
The rebrand started in February and it ended by the end of May, and I launched in first week of June. So just about 4 months. In that process, I was working with my brand designer and photographer to do brand photos as well. So we had put together like the ideas that we had and what photos we wanted collectively. The three of us worked together basically to make sure that the photos were cohesive of where the website would go and or what it would look like. So I had my photos done in February, held on to those, and then they went on to the website, and then when I launched, everything went live at the same time.
Oh my gosh, crazy. So this is actually a pretty common question that people ask within our coaching calls. When you did the rebrand, did you have to start a whole new website? Did you get a new website address? Like how did your website designer build it on the side while you had your current website up?
You know, I should probably know this answer, but I don't think I asked. I did ask her when I started working with her, will my website be live while you're doing everything? And she said yes. So my original version of my website was live the entire time. The copy that she sent for me to approve before it actually went live on Google was, I think it was like on the back end, and I don't know if Show It is the same as Squarespace and WordPress, but she was working on the back end. So if I needed to make a edit to my original website while she was working, I think I was able to. And then she probably just hooked up everything at the end, because when she sent me a version to look at on Google, like as a draft, everything was there except for my blog. And so she said that goes live when the site actually goes live. So I'm sorry I didn't answer that directly. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a great great answer. So okay, does anyone else have questions? Feel free to drop that into the chat. But this is such a good like conversation, I feel like, and I know a lot of other people are thinking about doing this, and maybe they changed their mind based on how much work has to go into it.
But I will say, like, if you are just looking for one little area, or like one area to rebrand, it probably is not as much effort. Like I went full in, and that's why it was just so much work.
Yeah, I mean, it looks gorgeous. Even your Instagram, I feel like, looks more you, I feel. And so I think they did a great job, you did a great job, and I'm super proud of you for investing in yourself, not only with time, but also money. It's a lot of work, and I think it shows, and I think you did a fabulous job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's kind of go over to the chat. So Elise asked, where did you find your designer, and how did you start your search to find someone?
I actually use Instagram. I was Googling people too, but I didn't necessarily need to pick somebody who was close to me because everything can be done remotely. So when I was Googling, I was getting a lot of more local people, and they just weren't matching what I was looking for. So when I went on Instagram, I was coming across people in like West Coast, Canada. The first person I spoke to, I think, actually was in Canada. And then I ended up going with somebody in Connecticut. So like location was not really a factor for me. But my biggest the two things that I was looking for the most, one, like their style, because I wanted to make sure that their style is similar to my style, or that we could meet in the middle and find something that works for me. And also SEO. SEO was really, really big for me. I'm not sure if anybody from New York is on the call, but I'm sure it's like California too. New York, like New York City calligrapher, that search is, I feel like, kind of, there's just a lot of results. So, and when I was doing my own SEO, I wasn't even showing up on Google because I did SEO wrong. And then I spent every single day for 3 months updating my SEO, and the farthest I could get to was the closest I get to is page 2 of Google, but I wanted to come even closer. So SEO is a really big factor for me in copywriting. So my brand designer had testimonials about how well she did SEO and how well it worked for her previous clients, and that alone stood out to me a lot. So when I was between, I think, 2 people, that kind of took me over the edge to work with her, because I already loved her style and she had so many testimonials about successful SEO. I just knew that was the best for me.
Amazing. Leslie asked, what was the turnaround time for the full rebrand?
From beginning to end, I think it was 4 months. But that's because there was so much involved. So I would say, just to break it down a little more, for the website alone, I think it was 6 weeks. But there was just so much involved.
Yeah, it's like gutting a house and like rebuilding it. Okay, do you mind sharing how much you invested into the whole rebrand?
I don't remember the exact number, but in total, do you want me to include like brand photos or?
I think everything. Okay,
so brand photos included, I think it was just over 10,000.
The hot question is, was it worth it?
Yes, 100 for me, 100%, because I feel like if I did it, so I asked myself when I was going to do the rebrand, if I don't do this rebrand, or if I do only a smaller version of it, will I regret it in the future? And my answer is yes. And then I said, if I do the rebrand, like go all in, do it all, and it's a lot of money, regardless of the outcome, will I regret it? And my answer was no. So I was like, I have to do it. But I definitely think that for me it was needed, because I just never would have felt like fully aligned with where I want my business to be if I didn't do this.
I know it's really early and you just launched the rebrand and did the rebrand. It's been like 2 weeks now today. Do you feel like you've already seen the dividends come in with all of the work that you put in?
Well, I will say, when I did some searches on Google, I'm showing up a little bit higher on SEO. And I know it's going to take even longer because it's just SEO. It takes a long time.
Yeah.
But I did see myself show up a little higher than I have in the past. So that was exciting. And in terms of inquiries, it's hard because the timing in New York right now, everyone migrates to the Hamptons. So like events kind of slow down in the summer around here. But I have actually been getting like a steady number of inquiries. I don't know if that's rebrand related or just like number of events going on right now, but this is a little early to tell. Ask me again in a couple of months and maybe I can give you a better answer, but I think maybe there has been like an improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it's like the number or quantity of event requests that you get, or maybe the quality of the clients that come in, I think it's going to pay dividends, and it may be too early to tell now, but I'm sure we'll see the results in like 3 to 6 months, especially during the holidays. I think we'll really understand like the full impact of that, and then that will maybe sway other people and convince them that this is the right move as well. All right, so to kind of just wrap everything up in a bow and to close out today's call, what kind of, I guess if you could give one piece of like TCA tactical advice to kind of remind our members what to really focus on, what would that be?
My piece of advice will be similar to what I said about my rebrand, but do like a pulse check, or like just maybe have a conversation with yourself about what you want your brand to look like. it might not look like what it is today. It might be half, like you might want to just touch on a part of what it is today. I don't know, like there's such a wide spectrum of that. But understanding what you want your brand to look like going forward will be a good measure for how you approach the rebrand if you're interested in it. Like a rebrand is not required for everybody, you know. It's just for me, I knew that I needed to do it because the brand that I had today, or back then was today, was not representative of where I wanted to be. If you feel like there's just a place that you want your business to be at and you just need some help with it, like you can always just have a conversation with a brand designer and they can give you an idea of what they're thinking. And if that aligns with you, then maybe that's a great match. If not, or if you think that is something that you can do on your own, like go for it. You know, like there is no one size fits all when it comes to a rebrand at all. I just knew for myself that I could not do it on my own because I tried when I first launched my business, and I knew I needed somebody a professional, basically, like a brand designer, to come in and help me.
Yeah. I think in addition to that, I thought of another question. Do you feel like you're talking to a different ideal client for yourself? Like if you had to describe your client in one word, what would that be?
So I would say for me, the word that I would use is experiential. I think that, and like experiential in terms of not just hiring me as the calligrapher and then that'll be the experience, but they really dive, like my favorite type of client to work with is an event production company, because they really dive into every little detail, like from the food to the decorations to every person that is involved. Like it's truly an experience. I mean, I've done some events in the city where I'm like stunned at the event that's been being put on because every detail is just impeccable. And those are my favorite events. So for me, from the beginning, I think I always wanted to get to that place. So I don't think like my ideal client has changed, but I think the brand that I now represent, and that is me, has shifted to be more aligned with what they're looking for versus what I had.
Yeah, absolutely. Being more intentional about who you're actually talking to and inserting your personality into that. I think that's so huge and a really good focus for us to look at. Okay, so where do you see yourself going with Katie Rhee Calligraphy, and how can we help you with those goals?
I see myself doing more experiential events. Like right now I have a mix of like experiential private parties. I have some like in-store activations, some just like different types, some in studio, like different types of work. For me, I really want to hone in on working with my ideal client, so that is like the majority of my work.
Okay, what advice, I guess, would you give to anyone here that's watching who is thinking about reinvesting in themselves, or, you know, doing something as dramatic as like a rebrand?
My advice would be to do it. If you're thinking about it and you think that you're like me and you think that your business today is just not aligned with where you want to be, or where you want your business to grow. If you're also like me and you just need like help with it, reach out to a brand designer and see. Or honestly, you could reach out to me and we can talk more about it too. But I would say that if you're thinking about it, start to look into it a little bit. Don't sit on it too much, because don't let it become one of those things where it's like, oh, I really want to do that, but I don't have the time, you know, like we all have a list of those types of things, but our brand is our business. And so it because of that, it's just such an important part of who we are and the business that we represent and have. So I just think that it's critical to really evaluate like where you want to be and like how to get there.
I love that. Genius. I love that. Cool. Well, this was an amazing interview. Thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your experience with our Craft Academy members. I do remember you talking about this. I can't remember when it was, but it was like maybe 6 months ago. But you were saying that like up until that point, your goal in that phase was to build and grow, and now you see yourself in a phase of sustaining and refining your business, your brand, and yourself and your product. And I think you've done such a spectacular job with that. Thank you so much for coming on here, taking the time to talk to all of us and sharing your experiences, and hopefully inspiring some of us to take that next leap as well. Cool. So the last question that I usually ask everyone, what would you tell yourself whenever you started your business? What would you tell baby biz Katie, knowing what you know now?
I would say to myself back then, look at what you can accomplish. When I started this business, I literally didn't know if I would get one client because I had never had one before. I didn't know that I could make a website or that I could have meaningful connections with luxury brands or experiential companies, things like that. If I had to go back and like watch what happened, I think my jaw would hit the floor because I would not believe it.
Totally. Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
One thing I was so grateful for is I reached out to a company to like help me with my website and my like copywriting back when I was like new enough that like I was doing totally different things, and I would have invested all this money and stuff that I don't want to be like focusing on right now. And it would have ended up being like a huge waste of money. And so I think a big thing is like, I love with PCA, how it helps you get that starter website. Like it helps you build your own, it helps you do a lot of these things as you're testing things out, as you're seeing what you enjoy doing, as you see what you want to work on, as you see how you want to talk to people, and as you start kind of getting an idea of your messaging. And then I think what Katie did is absolutely amazing. That's something I've been waiting too long on that. That's something I definitely need to do. So I was like, okay, I need to look into this more. And I love that you did that. I think that's so amazing, Katie. But yeah, so that was just my tip, was like, I feel like just make sure you kind of at least like know what you want to focus on, and like have that, at least have a direction in mind before you start looking at like getting that professional branding done. Because they need like, as Katie said, like she had to give in a lot of input and a lot of like ideas. And if you're not quite sure how to talk about your business yet or what you want to focus on.
All right. So I hope you enjoyed that sneak peek into what our coaching calls are like and how we're kind of adjusting the program and the support based on what our members are saying. Everything that we do and change for our community is super intentional, and it's always based on the feedback of what our members provide. So right now we actually do have a lot of members who've been in the program since its fruition in 2021. So they're at a point in their business where they actually want to continue scaling and accelerating and making passive income. So that's something that we are currently working on right now. We do have resources in there already to kind of build and create multiple forms of income once they really establish the beginning parts of their business. And so I'm really excited about that. I'm working, pretty closely with our members who have made that request to make sure that we're able to meet their needs. So if you like this interview and you want to join this amazing community, go ahead and hit up wandercrafter.com/apply and talk to me or a real life human. And I'm so excited to meet you, build that relationship, and continuing to help you build and scale your calligraphy business. See you guys in the next video. Bye.